Hey, happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I hope your week's going well. And today we're talking about something you got to look at whenever you're buying any home, condo, property, even if it's commercial, doesn't matter, because there are some time bombs that lurk. And this actually just came up for some clients of mine on a home inspection. And luckily enough, we did some due diligence, we did some research, we did some more investigating, and we were able to realize that it wasn't going to be a problem for us, but it could have been a problem that ended up costing my clients tens of thousands of dollars. So we're going to get into that in just a second. For everybody that's new here, my name is Joe. Thanks for hanging out. And we're here every Wednesday at 6:30 and always are streaming about some of the latest and greatest stuff that's going on in the world of real estate. So we have an article today that we're going to get into first before we get into the time bomb that I know you all want to see. And we're going to be talking about how buyers and sellers are on two different pages when it comes to the value of a property. I'm sure that's not going to surprise you all. So we'll be digging into that. That's an article from Redfin. And always, if you guys have any comments, any thoughts at any time, please let me know. Hey, LC, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out on the stream. Hope you enjoy. At any time, you guys are welcome to pop your thoughts into the comments, whether or not it's a comment or a thought about the article, or maybe you have a real estate question and you don't want to throw it into the ChatGPT or Google. Maybe you actually want your real estate question answered by a real live human being that lives and breathes real estate, such as myself. This is a great opportunity. So if you have any questions about maybe a transaction you're in, maybe you're thinking about buying a home, maybe you're thinking about selling a home, and you just want to ask someone what the deal is, this is a great spot to do it. If you haven't liked the stream, right down here, there's going to be a little thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Please like the stream. It's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. And it just helps me out, helps the channel out, helps the stream out. So we are going to dive right in, guys. And we're going to start with this article here. We'll get it up on the screen. Yup, there it is. And this one's from Redfin. So as you guys know, I try to pick the recent articles, the recent topics. And this one's from April 29th. So just about a week ago. So it's pretty recent. The typical home seller wants $39,000 more than the typical buyer is willing to pay, which is kind of crazy. So there is a roughly $40,000 gap in what average buyer wants to pay and the average seller wants to get, which is kind of interesting. Obviously, this is not surprising that there's a gap. Usually sellers think their home is worth more and buyers think the home is worth less, right? It's the whole negotiating thing. But the interesting thing about this is it's the highest it's been in 5 years, really since the start of the pandemic. So we're going to kind of talk about maybe why this is the case and what this means. So we're going to go through this, and we'll go through this one kind of quickly because I have a lot of good information I want to get to you guys about this time bomb that is lurking in everyone's home. I promise it is in everyone's home. It's just a matter of whether or not it's a problem for you right now or will be in the future. So let's get into this. The $469,729 median asking price, this is the median asking price, is 9% higher than $431,057, which is the median sale price. So we can see that on the median priced home in the United States, most sellers are asking almost $470,000, and most of them are closing at just over $431,000. So little bit of a discrepancy there. Market dynamics have shifted in favor of buyers. This is true, guys, but sellers have been slow to adjust, which is why list and sale prices are diverging, which is not a big surprise. We've known that the market is softening a little bit depending on the area that you're in. You know, a couple streams ago, we covered this. We covered a couple of markets that were really ripe for buyers that were kind of turning that corner. And basically, if you missed that stream, the basic idea is that right now what we're seeing is that buyers pretty much at the Sun Belt and below, so in the southern portion of the United States, from about Texas all the way over to Georgia, that area is softening quite a bit in pricing. Doesn't mean every city is, but it means that there is a lot of opportunity for buyers in that area due to slightly lower demand and greater inventory, both through resale properties, but then also new construction builds. So those areas we are seeing a shift. So it is becoming more buyers friendly in some areas, but that doesn't necessarily mean that sellers are going to flip the switch and adjust the prices accordingly.
The prices home sellers are asking for and the prices home buyers are paying haven't been this out of whack since the start of the pandemic. The typical home for sale is listed for 9% more than the typical home is selling for, the biggest gap since May of 2020. And here you can see this is actually a really, really great price representation, or a graphical representation of the difference in median home sale price versus median home list price. Remember, list price is the asking price that a seller hopes to get, and the sale price is the actual price that the property transferred at when the deal closed. So we can see, I'll try to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So we can see that the red lines are the home sale prices, what they actually sold for, and blue is the asking price. And you can see actually for some time since even here back before 2021, the asking price for sale price, if you look at them both, it's fairly matched for the most part. Obviously, we have some discrepancies. We had some points where the sale price was higher than the asking price. That's a great little vignette, a great snapshot of the COVID unicorn market. You'll see that very rarely, only in some cases, mostly seasonality, where we'll have little blips where the actual sale price is higher than the asking price. And usually that's going to be in your prime selling months, right? That's going to be in your spring and early summer. And you can see that it only happens very shortly. There's crossover. And you can see that as of right now, we have the largest disparity. We had a large disparity kind of here as well, but not as big. Definitely not as big between what we're seeing in March 2025 compared to what we've seen in the past. Back in 2012, there was a decent discrepancy. Don't look at the prices. I mean, can you look at this? 158,000 was the median sale price in January of 2012, and we're at 431,000 now. This is absolutely insane. And this is a little off topic, but if you ever wonder about the power of building wealth in real estate, well, just take a look at the graph that's in front of your face right now. If this isn't a great indication of why you should try to own real estate, I don't know how better to display it, because it really just continues to go up. And obviously we have little fluctuations here. Most of this is based upon seasonality, but it ticks back up, goes down, ticks back up. So it's just interesting to see the huge difference that we're seeing right now in comparison. This is based on home listing and sale price data in March, when the typical newly listed home had a price tag of $469,000, a record high. The gap is widening because list prices are growing more than twice as fast as sale prices. Now, you think about, well, why is this, right? And I think probably, the biggest thing is we have expectations, right? Both sellers and buyers. So sellers have this expectation or this thought that, hey, I can, my neighbor a year ago sold their home with 6 offers and it went for $80,000 of the asking price. Well, they tried at 900, they got 980. I'm going to try for $1,025,000 because the market's only done better than that, right? Well, maybe that's not quite the correct thinking, because we're seeing that in some markets, as we've noticed, things are shifting, right? And if you are in a market, especially a market that has shifted and has a little bit more inventory than it did a year or 2 or 3 ago, and maybe the demand is a little bit lower than it was a year or 2 or 3 ago, well, you can't go off of what happened a year ago. You have to go off of what's happening right now. So, classic example is that neighbors are thinking their home is still worth what their neighbors' homes were worth a year and 2 and 3 ago. And it's just not the same anymore. So a lot of this has to do with perhaps sellers and their agents relying on comps and information it's just out of date. It's not relevant anymore. It's not accurate anymore. It's not taking into account the fact that we have a different presidential administration who has a very different stance on economic policy, trade, and tariffs, which we're all familiar with by now at this point. So, a lot of it just has to do with perhaps the idea that, some of these buyers and some of these sellers, they're just not on the same page. Conversely, buyers are just being more picky right now, and they should be. Homes are the most expensive they've ever been, and affordability is the second worst in the history of real estate in America. So, buyers are having to pay a premium And rightfully so, they're just being a little bit more patient. They're being a little bit more picky. So it's one of those things where it's on both sides. We're seeing it. And so, we'll see. I think what it's going to lead to is sellers are just going to have to readjust their strategy. They're going to have to really make sure their comps are looking good, and they're going to have to be open to looking at offers, right? And that's another thing that we were talking about in my office. It seemed like before the pandemic, people were not afraid to just make an offer. And now it's interesting is it seems like the sentiment out there, and again, this is going to vary based on market, right? But it seems like out there, it seems like more and more buyers just assume that the home is going to sell fast and it's going to sell for over asking price. And we've had this happen on a couple of homes recently where we thought the home was going to sell very quickly. And we thought we were going to have multiple offers, after just 4, 5, 6 days after the open house. Turns out it didn't materialize that way. And, when we called the buyer's agents up to see hey, what's the feedback? Are you guys going to submit an offer? We're hearing a lot of, oh, well, you know what? They're not sure, and they want to take some time, and they know it's a good house, and they feel like that they need more time to make a decision. Someone else is just going to buy it. And then nobody ends up buying it because nobody wants to make an offer. So buyers out there, if you are a buyer and you're in a market that was competitive just maybe 6 months or 12 months ago, and maybe it's less competitive now, get out of the mindset of, oh, someone's just going to go buy it. Someone's just going to offer $40K over the asking price. Oh, there's just going to be a bidding war. And you know what? I don't want to get involved with that. You'd be surprised. My recommendation as an agent, especially one that represents a lot of buyers, always submit the offer. There's no harm in submitting the offer. It doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't take that much time for you or for your agent. And if you get accepted, boom, you got an accepted offer. That's great. If you don't get it accepted, well, you're in the same position that you were in the day before when you submitted the offer. And if your offer does get accepted and then you realize, oh gosh, I changed my mind. Well, as long as you have your contingencies in place, you can back out, get your money back. And again, your life hasn't really changed. So it'll be interesting just to see kind of what happens when it comes to the price difference that sellers want and the buyers, they're actually paying. So anyway, we're going to move on to the main feature of the stream. If you guys did have any questions about that article or about listings prices versus sale prices, pop them into the chat. Love to know what you guys think. What are you seeing in your area? Are you seeing homes have huge price drops? Are homes sitting on the market? Are homes still selling quickly? Is it still a bidding war? Let me know where you are and what you're seeing, because I'm always curious to know what's going on throughout the rest of the country. All right, guys. So we are now going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about the time bomb that you have to inspect. You have to diligently check before you buy a house. And this is something that I always encourage buyers to inspect. They don't have to, but they really, really, really should. Let me get this up on the screen. This is what we want. Somewhere it's here. All right, guys, today we're talking about sewers. I know, very exciting, very glamorous, but it's really, really important because they can be an extremely costly expense. And not only can it be a really, really costly expense, but it's not even one that you get to enjoy, right? Like if you have to redo a kitchen, it's like, oh, I got to drop, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100K on a kitchen, whatever your budget is. And yeah, I got to spend 50 grand on this kitchen, but at least I get to enjoy it every day. I get to see it. I get to use it. I get to be in it. I get to show it off to my friends that come over, and it's going to increase the value and equity of my home. Unfortunately, we have these little guys called sewer lines, and they are among one of the most expensive things to fix or replace. When they do break, they cause a whole heck of a lot of problems. And it is something that a lot of people neglect to even look at when they buy the home, and then they neglect to maintain it. So we're going to be talking for the rest of the stream about what to look for in a sewer line. In fact, I'm going to show you some photos, and I'm going to show you a video that my clients just had done as an inspection on their 1928 Craftsman home that they're buying here just a couple cities over from where I am. So we're going to go over kind of what the sewer drain line does and the components of it, what to look for, how to look for it, and signs that you have a problem. So let's start with just the basics with what is a sewer main line. They're also referred to as sewer lateral lines. And here, we have this really nice diagram here, and we've got our beautiful little house and our tree and our yard, and here we go. So we can see here that here's your house, and this here is your sewer lateral, also called a main line. Now, there's a couple different terminologies. Sometimes the main line is the city line, right? So depending on where you are, here in my region, we call this a lateral or a main, and then we call this the city sewer line or the city main line. So just different terminology, different lingo. I'm sure there's a plumber somewhere in chat, or there's a plumber that will watch this and he'll correct me and be like, we never call those main lines. They're always laterals. Whatever, fight me about it. So we have our house, and this is your drain line. So everything, anytime you run water, flush a toilet, run the dishwasher, turn on the shower, the water's got to drain somewhere, and all the drain lines connect. They meet in this one main drain line. It carries all of the stuff that goes down any drain, and it takes it into the big city sewer. And that's where, like, if you watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like that's the main sewer line, like that big one that, you can walk under the street that has the manhole covers. So all of that drains into that. And then all of that goes to water treatment and gets cleaned, recycled, reused, whatever the case may be. So this is your basic imagery of a sewer main line. Now, one thing that can't be shown on this two-dimensional image is that sometimes this drain line can go to the side of the house, kind of like how this one is. Sometimes it comes straight out to the front of the house. Other times it goes straight backwards, especially if you have an alleyway. So if there's an alley behind your house, a lot of times the sewer goes out back to the alleyway. Now, it's important to make a very, very crucial designation here. This is strictly for homes and properties connected to a city sewer line. Okay, if you're on septic or cesspool, this does not apply, right? It's a little bit different. For septic, you do need to do an inspection for the septic tank. It does need to be pumped, and it does need to be certified when the property transfers, but it's different than what we're talking about here. So this only applies to houses that have a city sewer line connection. So everything goes out, and it goes out to the city, and you think to yourself, "Oh, this seems pretty simple. You've got these pipes, and they flow the water out. Okay, straightforward, right?" Well, it gets a little bit more tricky than that. But before we do that, I want to share this one instead, because I want to tell you guys the difference between a drain line and the main sewer line. So if you look underneath your sink, right, you open it up, you open up your vanity, you open up your kitchen sink, and you look down there, and you'll see the pipe that comes down. You'll see the little trap, which helps odors and things not come back through the pipe. And that all connects to the main line. So these little guys are drain lines. So you have a drain line off your toilet, a drain line off your bathtub, a drain line off all your sinks, all that stuff. You even have a drain line off your washing machine, your clothes washer. And it all meets into this one main line, and that is the sewer main, which is the big pipe that we see right here. This is the sewer main. So you have a bunch of little drain lines, they all meet up, and then you have one sewer main line that goes out. So where do the problems lie? Where do they lie? Well, they can lie in a myriad of ways. And here's a couple of examples of what happens when your sewer main line clogs. And so here are some symptoms of a main line clog. And remember, you cannot see this. This is buried under your house and then probably out your front yard or backyard. So this is something that you cannot see. And I'm going to tell you how you can inspect it. I'm going to tell you how you can see it. And I'm going to show you what it looks like too in just a little bit. But let's focus on the clog. So right off the toilet, of course, well, we know what can be clogged from toilets. You can have toilet paper plus other stuff and anything that you shove down there. So if you have a little one that likes shoving dolls or toys down there, certainly that can clog it up. We got an issue, and then you got to get a plumber out there, snake it, fetch it out, so on and so forth. And then you've got issues from sink. So this would be like grease. If you put grease down the drain, which we should all know by now not to do, but it can coat the walls of the line and it can create a stoppage. Now, these two, the first two, toilet paper and toilet paper accessories, and the grease or hair, those are pretty easy. That's not a problem. You can get those fixed. You can get those snaked out. You can pour some drain cleaner. The rest of the ones that we're going to examine are actual physical problems that cannot just be cleaned out. So the first one, and this is the main concern, is tree roots. Okay. Now think about this, guys. This sewer main line is buried anywhere from about 20 to 30 inches below the surface of your yard or lawn, and roots from trees are in the dirt. And it's important to know that like roots from like grass, not going to do it. Roots from shrubs, not going to do it. Roots even from a small tree, not going to do it. But roots from a medium or large tree can absolutely wreak havoc on sewer main lines. And we can see here in this animation, you can see how sort of these roots are growing, they're growing, and they've hit this sewer main line and they have infiltrated. And you think to yourself, well, how do they infiltrate a sewer main line? I'm going to show you exactly how they do it. Once they infiltrate that main sewer line, think about this for a sec, guys. You have a line, you have a pipe. What's going through that pipe? Everything that goes down your drain or flushed down your toilet. All right, guys. So what do trees like? Trees like water and they like manure. So when you have tree roots in your main sewer line, they are getting just like the best nutrients, and those roots will grow and grow and grow and grow, and they will become a serious problem for your main sewer line, because what can happen is those roots can start growing and growing and get all entangled and basically make a curtain that comes across your sewer line and won't allow anything to drain. And when things don't drain out of your sewer line, you get issue number 2. Water backs up into your home after flushing or rinsing. But I got news. It's not just the water that's backing up. It's everything in that line that's backing up. So you can imagine the problem that you might have if you had a major stoppage in your sewer line. The next 2 problems, really the next 3 problems, are as equally as big. And that's why, guys, examining the main sewer line of your home is so crucial, because there's no quick fix. There's no easy fix. You literally just have to start digging stuff up, and it gets expensive, and it gets expensive fast. So that was tree roots. The second thing are breaks in the line. So this is caused basically from wear and tear or age. Depending on how old your sewer line is and what the material is, it can cave in. And this is usually only something that we see on older homes, where the sewer main line is made out of clay. And there's a couple different materials that sewer lines can be made out of. The oldest line, and there are some exceptions to this. So, you know, someone in chat's gonna be like, no, Joe, you forgot about this one type that was used between 1870 and 1890 or some stupid thing. Okay, so the most common types are clay. And it's exactly that. It's a big clay pipe, right? It's about this big, and it's clay. Those ones, clay sewer lines were used in like the 30s and 40s and sometimes in the early 50s, but usually not at that point. And so the problem with clay is that over time it gets very brittle and fragile, and it can crack just from over time, the weight of the soil above. If it's over a street and there's vibrations, it can crack. And that's how you get this issue. Well, when this cracks, other dirt can cave in, and it can create clogs and issues and slow down the drainage. So that is a problem. An offset. This is a problem here. This is when the joints of the line are becoming disconnected, usually due to settlement and movement and just age. You can see on this diagram that there's little kind of notches here, notch, and then a notch, and then a notch, and then a notch. These are connections, right? So your sewer main line is not one long pipe. It's sections of pipe, and those sections of pipe are joined together. And the joints are always the weakest spot, right? That's if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen at a joint, which is why we usually see tree roots make that intrusion right at a joint, because usually it's the weakest spot, it's the easiest spot for them to get into. Same goes for leaks, right? We have offsets and leaks. If the offset gets so big that it creates a gap, the water can leak out, and then it can lead to other issues. Then the final problem, we have a valley here. We can see that this portion has sagged. It's a little bit flatter, and water is pooling. That's bad. Excuse me. That is not a good thing with a sewer main line, because when water pools, things can collect, solid material can collect in there, and it creates a problem with draining. And then that's how you get things backing up. So all of these things are problems. The first two here, routine clogs from things going down the pipe, not a problem. But clogs or leaks from breaks in the pipe, that, folks, is when you have a serious, serious issue. You have a really, really, really big problem. So I'm sure you're all thinking, well, Joe, how do we avoid this catastrophe? Well, we've got good news. We've got some modern day technology that will help with this. So one of the things on this diagram that you'll see is this pipe right here. And you think, well, what the heck is this? Okay, so these are drain lines, and these are coming from fixtures that drain water out of the house. But what is this? What is this doing like in the front yard? Well, this is called a clean out. And a clean out is essentially and you probably have seen these in your yard. It's usually a cap that's about this big. They're usually black or like a dark green, like a forest green. You pull those off, and then you can access your sewer line. Like you will see a hole, and the hole will go down. There will be a pipe, and then you'll see your sewer line, and you'll see water moving when someone flushes the toilet or turns on a sink. And the reason that those are installed, not every home has this, but the reason they're installed nowadays is so that plumbers can do a couple things. Number one, they can put a camera down the line, and they can take a look with what we call a sewer camera. I know, a very, very interesting name, right? Very creative name. And it's this camera that's spooled up, and they pull it out, and they can shove it. They can shove it right down here, and it's on a flexible cable, and they can get it to turn and go down, and they can start going, and they can look at all this. They can look at the inside of the pipe, which is extremely helpful when you're trying to evaluate the health and condition of something that you can't see, right? So we have this clean out here, and that allows them to put a camera down. What it also allows plumbers to do is it also allows them to put a couple different devices that can help clean and maintain and unclog sewer lines. So for instance, let's say we have a little grease clog right here from a kitchen sink. They could put a little device down here, make this little turn, hit this thing, and then they could turn it, snake it out, pull it out, and boom, the clog is gone, and your water goes. And the same could go for this way. They could put something down here, and they can put a different tool down here, and they can do some of the things to clear out some of the line from there. Now, when it comes to tree roots, there's something they can do. There's a couple things they can do. When it comes to cracks or breaks or valleys, that's when it gets a little bit difficult. Now, just imagine for a second, guys, that this was the main line on the home that you're buying. Imagine that the home looks beautiful, right? Everything looks great. It's in wonderful condition. It's been updated. It's been remodeled. The sellers are very pleasant. The negotiations were fairly simple and straightforward. You've agreed on everything. And this is the home that you're going to move into. And imagine you'd have no way of knowing, unless you got a very specific inspection, you'd have no way of knowing that you already have multiple huge issues with your main sewer line. And I'll tell you what, replacing a main sewer line is extremely expensive. In fact, it's so expensive, I can't even give you an idea of how much it costs, because it varies so much. Because if this is the street right here and you've got to dig up the street, that means that you have to work with the city to close the street or do a traffic routing plan. Your plumber is going to have to pull special permits, probably use special heavy equipment to dig up the concrete, to dig up the street, and then replace your pipe. So this is a big, big, big project. In fact, this is probably one of the biggest that you can get. I would say that even putting a new roof on a house is easier and more straightforward and probably quicker than doing a main sewer line. Now, the main sewer line does vary on every home, right? With the length, with the location, with where it goes. Your sewer line, if you just have a lawn and the sewer line just goes in the front yard and maybe it's only 15, 20 feet long before it hooks up with the city, hey, maybe it wouldn't be that expensive. But if you live on a hillside, or you have a really long sewer line, or if this sewer line, like in this diagram, is under your driveway or under concrete, or heaven forbid, it's under the sidewalk or street, well, then it's going to get really expensive really quickly. So this is a couple of different examples of how your sewer line can have some problems. And then here are a couple signs that you're having some issues. So multiple drains have issues at the same time. So you think, oh man, the bathroom sink on one side of the house and the kitchen sink on the opposite side of the house, they're both draining really slow. That's weird. Main sewer line. Now, if just the bathroom sink was draining slow and all the other sinks were draining fine, chances are you have a localized clog, probably some hair or something at that bathroom sink, and that's easy to fix. But if you've got multiple at the same time, could be a problem. Water backs up into your home after flushing or rinsing. And water could back up into toilets, into tubs, into sinks. The tub is the most common though, because it's usually the lowest. And whenever you have that, then that means that the water's got to go somewhere and it's not going the way that it needs to go. So it's coming back at you. And guess what? That water is not just going to be water. It's going to be other stuff too. Pipes are loud and gurgly. That would, so if you can hear the pipes draining, normally, when you're taking a shower, you can hear the water draining, it's going down. But when it's really, really loud or very gurgly or bubbly and the multiple drains, that's also a sign that there is a stoppage somewhere in that line and it's draining really slow and there's some air gaps and you're hearing that. Persistent smells plague your home. Remember, just like if you didn't take out the trash, right? If you didn't take out the trash in your kitchen would start to smell because the trash is sitting there. When all this sits in the sewer line, it's not going where it needs to go, right? It's not getting here. It's all just sitting in this line, and those odors are going to back up and come through your fixtures and go into your house. Plunging is an everyday chore. So if you have to plunge all the time, again, it's a sign that the water is not draining. It means that the water is not getting out into that main city sewer line, and you have to plunge it to kind of motivate it to go. Your yard is a soggy mess. Now, this one, if your yard is a soggy mess, you got a real big problem because that means that you actually have a major break in your line, like something like this, or you have a major crack, and the water and waste is just spewing out. It's not making it past. Like if you had a little crack or a little leak, most of it would go. But if it's actually coming up, that's how you know you have a problem. So what do we look for? How do we do this? How do we fix this? Well, what you're going to want to do is when you have your home inspection, and most home inspection companies will offer this as a service. If they don't, just hit up a plumber, because a plumber does this all day, every day. And it usually only costs between $200 and $300 for this sewer scope inspection. And I'm telling you guys, it is mega important, especially if you're buying a home built before about 1980. And especially if you're buying a home built before 1950. And especially if you're buying a home where there's a very large tree or two or three in the front yard or wherever the way that the sewer line drains, right? So if any of those three conditions are met, pre-1980, you should do it. Pre-1950, you really, really should do it. And if there's any large trees in the front, back, or sides yards, I mean like big trees. I mean like even like a mature lemon tree, which lemon trees don't get super, super big. But so even like, if you got a medium-sized tree or greater, and it's anywhere around where that sewer main line could be, you're going to want to get the sewer inspected with a sewer scope. So I'm going to show you what exactly a sewer scope looks like. I'm going to pull one up. I have one here from a recent inspection. And what I'm about to show you is the inside of a sewer line. And let me tell you, it's really riveting stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh God, why would you want to see this? But it's helpful to know what's going on when you're buying a house. And this is a very, very important, crucial thing. So I'm going to show you a sewer line that does not have any issues. I'm going to show you a sewer line that overall is generally in good condition, albeit older, but in good condition. Then I'm going to show you a sewer line that's got some problems. And this one specifically has got some root intrusion. And so that way you'll be able to see the differences between a good sewer line and a bad sewer line. So let me share this tab. And this is going to pop up for you guys right now. Make this full screen. Okay, so this is a sewer line for a property that I'm in escrow with. And this, hopefully this isn't too loud. Audio. All right, so we're in it right now. This is it. This is the sewer line, and what we're seeing is we're seeing water running. So what the plumber is doing right now is he's got the camera down that cleanout that I showed you earlier on the diagram. And then what he's doing is he's turning on the water, and that water is going to help carry this camera down the sewer line. And as the camera gets carried down the sewer line, we're going to be able to look around, and we're going to be able to examine for any major cracks, offsets, tree roots, any sags in the line where there's standing water. So what we want to see is we obviously don't want to see cracks, we don't want to see roots, and we want to see water that continues to run at a good pace. Shows that the main line is draining, it's doing its job, and it's taking the drained water from the house all the way to the city line. Okay, so let me see if I can actually get a better shot at this. Let me go back just a little bit because we could see a connection there. Okay, so right here, you can see this is a connection. So this is where these sections of pipe are joined together, and they have a coupler on the outside. They're not just set together. They're set together, and then there's a clamp that goes on the outside and clamps them together. And you can see right here that there's just a little bit of an offset. This is not a problem. This is pretty standard. This is pretty normal. I'm sure there's a plumber that wants to challenge me. I'm sure there's a plumber somewhere that's going to say, Joe, any offset's a problem, and that needs to be dug up and it needs to be repaired or replaced, blah, blah, whatever. Okay. In all the sewer lines I've seen, this is not a problem. This is not a major issue. When we're looking for offsets of concern, we're looking for major offsets, very obvious ones that I don't have to like stop and hunt for. We're looking for big ones where it could be a sign of a major leak. So this is two sections of sewer line coming together and being joined. Okay, this is kind of a good shot. So you can see that the material, you can actually see, you can tell what material the line is from here. And now I know that this is a cast iron main line. And the way that you can tell that is, it's hard to see in this video. It's a little kind of foggy in this video, but you can see how it looks like there's some texture here. Like it's almost like got dimples, right? Like it's almost, you know, like it's not smooth, right? And that's how you know that it's cast iron, because cast iron will actually pit and corrode over time. So this is actually a cast iron line. If it was all solid black, if we didn't see any of this like reddish color, which is oxidation, then we would know that it's ABS, which is good. That's the best. That's the best. And that's all the newer lines. Pretty much anything after about 1980, 1985 onward is pretty much all ABS. You don't have to really worry about it all that much. But this one is actually made of I had it in my head. I just told you guys what it is. Cast iron. The material we don't want to see is clay. And clay kind of looks like this color right here that I'm circling with my mouse. It's like a reddish color, but it would be the whole thing. And if we saw that, that would be a problem. So already we know that we are looking at a cast iron main sewer line, which is, out of the three materials, not horrible. It's okay, especially if the condition is good. All right, let's continue. Okay, another thing we see is, notice when I hit play, look how good the water is running, right? You can actually like notice the water is cruising through that main line. That means that it's not being interrupted by stoppages or breaks or offsets or things like that. I mean, you can just see how quickly it's moving. Okay, you can see we have another connection coming up. So here we go. You can see this is another spot where it's a connection, and you can kind of see it all kind of matches pretty nicely. So there's no major offsets, no major issues with that. This is exactly what a sewer line should look like. I know this is kind of weird. I know this might be boring for you guys, but if my clients had to replace this sewer line, they're probably looking at a $30,000 to $50,000 bill. Maybe not that much on this one, because this one's all on their property. There's no city, like there's no city street or sidewalk. So this one maybe is closer to 20,000, but replacing a sewer line can be anywhere from 10 to 50 grand. And that's why it's important to know about this, because you don't want to find out about that after you buy the home. I mean, right here, you can see how good the condition is. You can see that it is holding water, but it's moving. We can see that there's no major cracks, breaks, no roots, nothing crazy. Nothing's caved in. So far, this is great. There was another connection you guys can see coming up. Bingo, right there. You can kind of see there's a connection, no major offsets. So this is all good. This is what you want to see. See right here? Okay, let me go a little bit further. Okay, this is a great example. So right here is a little bit larger offset, still really nothing to worry about. But do you see this little white speck? Any guesses on what that is? That's toilet paper. And so you can start to see that if we have large offsets can grab things, right? So it can grab toilet paper. And if this toilet paper is here, it could grab more, it could grab more, it could grab more. It's like an artery in your heart where, you know, you get a little bit that collects and then you get more collects, more collects, more collects. And all of a sudden you got a stoppage. And that's when it's your heart, it's a heart attack. And when it's your sewer line, your sewage backs up into your house, which is not good, just like a heart attack. So this is a good little example of something that's really, it's not an issue at this present time, but this is how something could start, right? Now, chances are this little piece of toilet paper will wash away, deteriorate, and probably not collect because this offset's not that big, but you can kind of see the theory behind it and the idea behind it. So you can see, I mean, the rest of the line looks great. Here's another connection here. And right here, you can see we're 26 feet away from where we started. So I'm going to fast forward here. Again, there's some more water. It's just moving, doing its thing. And eventually now we're at 97 feet. So we are almost at the city connection, which that's what you want to do. You want to get to the city connection. And you can see that water's still moving. We still don't have any major issues. We're at 110 feet now. And it looks like, and I think on this one, we actually see him drop into the big main sewer line where we have, I remember one time we were doing a sewer scope and we dropped into the main sewer line, and sure enough, on camera, we dropped in the main sewer line, and looking at us is a rat. It was crazy. And so he got all the way to the end and verified that the line is looking good. We're about 110 and a half feet. And you can see that the water's starting to dip off and go into the sewer. So this is what a
110 feet
good sewer line looks like. We've made it all the way to the main. We made it all the way to the city. We verified that it's connected, and we verified that there's no major issues. Now, this is a sewer line that has undergone a cable cutting process. And the reason it underwent a cable cutting process is because this sewer line didn't always look like this. And I'm going to show you what it used to look like next. And this is what the line used to look like. Let me get to a spot here where we're not just underwater. There we go. Share this tab. This is the same sewer line just a week before. So you can see how the water is not moving as quickly. It's still moving, but it's not. And boom, right away, look what we got over here. That's a tree root. Now, these aren't so bad. These are small roots. These are kind of like hairs. Not so bad here, but it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. So if this left untreated, this would be a problem. So you can see there's just a lot of standing water in the pipe. Fast forward a little bit till we get moving. And you're going to see there's a problem. There's a problem right there. Look at this. See how I told you they're going to grow, they're going to interlock those roots, and they're going to almost create like a curtain. I mean, look at this area right here. Imagine if this whole line, if this whole section, right, if this whole area here looked like this. Well, you can start to imagine that whatever you flush down your toilet is not going to get to where it needs to go. Okay. Consider all the things that go down your toilet. If something hits that, it's going to sit there for a while, whether it's toilet paper or anything else that goes down your toilet. And that's where you start to get the backups, the stoppages, and the smells. So this is a prime example of what you do not want to see on your sewer scope. See, this is a good shot. See, we've got roots here, we've got roots here, and you can start to see at these connections we got problems. The other thing is that's nice is we can see, you can't see here because the address, but it's at 51.8 feet. So now as the homeowner, you know, okay, I'm going to go from where this is. I'm going to walk 51 feet into my backyard. What tree is there? Okay, if that's a tree that's there and it's those roots that cause a problem, could be a worthwhile decision to remove that tree and maybe remove that tree and plant a different tree elsewhere where your sewer line isn't, because this is going to keep occurring unless you do routine maintenance. And we're going to talk about that as well. So you can see how poorly this line looked when we started, and you can see that this would be a problem. And imagine if you did not do this inspection, you would not know about this root curtain. You would not know about this. And what would happen is for the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, everything would be hunky-dory, peachy keen, everything's great. But then as this root curtain closes down, the roots keep growing. And remember, the roots are going to grow, and they're going to grow very quickly. And why are they going to grow quickly? Because they are in a pipe that has water and manure flowing through it freely multiple times per day. So you can imagine that this tree is going to grow very healthy. In fact, whatever roots this tree belongs to is probably a very, very healthy tree. And if it was a fruit tree, in this case, I know that it's a lemon tree. And guess what? It's got a lot of lemons on it, and it's very thick, and it's got a lot of fruit. And it's because it's getting very, very good nutrients from where it's living. So this is what we want to take care of. And you can see the rest of the line was okay, right? You can see the rest of this is pretty dang good. There's no issues. So it's really just this one spot that is the problem. And so how do we fix that, right? You know, how do you remedy the situation? Well, a couple things, and I'm gonna put a couple photos up for you guys here. I gotta share a different screen. We want to share this one. All right. So this is the sewer line that we just looked at. So it was dug up in an area on the side yard. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, see if this helps a little bit for you guys. There we go. So this is on the side yard. The house is like literally right here. You can't see, it's right off my cursor. And this is a walkway, like a little pathway on the side yard. And so here you can see. Now, when I'm talking about root intrusion, I'm not talking about these roots. These are roots from like plants and shrubs and little stuff. That's not what we're worried about. We're worried about roots from a big tree. So you can see here's a section of pipe with a coupling. Here's a coupling, another section of pipe, and another section of pipe. And so, you know, we're talking about, oh, hey, Angie, how you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. I hope you caught the sewer video of us going through a sewer pipe. I know it's very riveting. I hope your week's going well, Angie. Thanks for hanging out. So we dug up this pipe because we did the sewer scope first, and the inspector said, hey, you've got tree roots in that line, and you need to have a plumber come out, evaluate, and figure out a course of action. So we did. That's exactly what we did. We had a plumber come out. Plumber ran his camera through it so he could see it with his own eyes. And he goes, yeah, you know what we need to do is we need to install a clean out. Remember how I was telling you guys about that pipe in the front yard? Well, that's a clean out. And not every home has one of those installed. They're actually something that didn't start getting installed until really like the 80s and into the early 90s. And if you need to service your sewer line, the clean out is the only way to do it. So the plumber says, I can't do anything with the sewer line until we put a clean out on. So we asked the seller, said, hey, seller, you're going to have to install a clean out, and you're going to have to pay to get this line cleaned out because it's a problem. So what we did is we had a plumber come, we had him dig up the line, and we had him install these. These are called dual sweep cleanouts. And they're dual sweep cleanouts because there's 2 cleanouts. And one of these cleanouts will allow you to put a camera or a cable cutter or a hydrojetter, which we'll talk about in a second, down this line. And it can go down and then it can go back this way. Or you can put it down this side and you can run it this way. So this allows you to clean both ends of the sewer line. So that's what a clean out looks like. And it simply allows you access. And you can see they put in new rubber couplings so to secure it. And then they put risers in to bring it to ground level. Then once it's at ground level, they cut it off and they put these caps and they clean up. And this is what it looks like when it's done. And now when you pull off this cap, you can actually look into your main sewer line, or you can put a device down there, cable cutter, so on and so forth, hydrojetter, and get it cleaned out. So what did we do? Well, essentially what we did is we had this clean out installed, and then the plumber went back with something called a cable cutter. And I'm going to see if I can find a quick little video about how this works. Okay. We're going to put this up here. Open in image. Bingo. Do this. And 1 second, guys. Okay. So this is a cable cutting machine. It looks like a regular snake, and it is similar to a regular snake, but it's not quite the same. So this is the snake head that's on there right now. So if you had a stoppage of hair, the plumber would come out with this machine, they'd undo this line, and this little guy, this little head right here, would go down your sewer line and spin, and it would grab the toy or the toilet paper or the hair or the grease, and it would spin and it would loosen it up, and then it would clear the clog and it would be good. But how do you get the roots? Well, the roots, you use a cutting head like one of these or one of these or one of these. And you put this on the end and it swirls around and it literally cuts the perimeter, the wall of the sewer line, and it cuts all those roots. And what it also does is it also will scrape the walls of the pipe. That does a couple things. Number one, it will get rid of any roots that you have. I shouldn't say any roots, because some of the really small minor roots, they just bend, they don't get scraped off. But any big roots that would cause problems, usually about 95% of the roots can be cut out with a cable cutter. And the other thing that it does is when it's cutting the walls, it's actually smoothing the walls out a little bit. Remember, this is cast iron. Cast iron gets pitted and worn away. And when it gets pitted, the walls of the sewer line, they get rough. They're no longer smooth. And when they're rough, they can grab onto things. Things can attach to it, like toilet paper and other materials, and that can lead to clogging. So not only does this machine get rid of the roots, not only does it get rid of any other items that may lead to a clog, but it also kind of grinds down, sands down just a little bit the interior of the pipe, and it leaves it a little bit more smooth and just a little bit more slick so that things can slide right through. And the other way that these properties or these sewer lines are clean is through a hydrojetter. A hydrojetter is a very, very big piece of equipment. Usually it shows up on a trailer. And what it does is it is a jet of water. It's a hydrojet, right? And what it is this water that comes out at like insanely high pressure, 800 PSI, 1000 PSI, something crazy, right? And what it does is that water pressure is so high that it literally just blasts everything away. Blasts tree roots, cut tree roots, whatever is clogged, it just destroys it. It just completely destroys it. And both work very good. I actually, for cast iron pipes, I think using a cable cutter is a little bit better, but always rely on a plumber. Always rely on a plumber and see what they say about it. Sounds expensive? It can be. Cabling a line is actually not too bad. If you have a clean out, having a plumber come out and running a cable cutter through your line is probably only going to run you between $400 and $600. So it's not crazy. The hydrojetting is a little bit more expensive. That usually runs between about $900 and $1,200, depending again on who you go to and where you are. Now, how do you maintain it? Like I said, you got to maintain the line. Well, first and foremost, if you are in an area that's got trees, what you want to do is go on to Amazon, and you can go on Amazon and you can buy this thing called RDX. It's called Root Destroyer, and it's a powder, right? It's like in a little box. It almost looks like laundry detergent, like old timey laundry detergent. And you literally just take some of that and you pour it down your toilet, flush your toilet, and that Root Destroyer will go down your sewer main line, and it will latch on to the roots and it will kill the roots. So that's a really good way and a really cheap way that you can do to maintain your sewer main line over time, especially if you know there's root intrusion. The second thing you can do is just get a sewer scope periodically. Remember, guys, your home, it's like anything else. It does need to be maintained, right? There's normal maintenance on a home. A lot of people neglect their sewer lines because they don't see them. They don't notice them. They don't even think about it. But then when you have a problem, I guarantee you'll be thinking about it because it'll be smelly and wet. It will not be a good situation to be in. So the other thing you want to do is just maybe once every 2 or 3 years, especially depending on the age of the home and where you're living, have a plumber come out and just have them do a sewer scope. Like I said, it's going to cost you $200, $300. Have them come down, put the camera down there, and then oh, hey, these roots are growing more than I thought. I need to do more root killer, or actually the root killer is working. Now I don't have to worry about replacing or patching my line. The other thing you can do is, again, just do your hydrojetting and do your cable cutting, right? So if you do know that your line is older, if you know that there are roots or you're in an area where there could be roots, get that sewer scope done periodically, get that cable cutting done once every 3, 4, 5, 6 years, depending on where you are. It's going to end up saving you money. And again, when you are in your inspection period, you just want to remember to make sure you do the sewer scope inspection, because it's a very small amount of money and it could potentially avoid a headache. It could potentially avoid a disaster that is replacing a main sewer line. And I remember I had one home in Pasadena that I sold that had sewer problems, and it was going to be very expensive. Luckily, we took the right precautions and we got it figured out. But it's a variable. And last thing you want to do is buy a new home and be left holding the bag for this super, super, super expensive repair. So anyways, guys, that's the stream for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you guys liked looking at like the sewer pipe. I was wondering, I was like, I don't know, are people going to like looking at this video? So hopefully it was helpful. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Did you learn anything from the stream? Did you learn anything about sewer lines? Did you learn about anything to look for when it comes to inspecting your future new home? I'd love to know. Also, if you guys have not yet liked the stream, right down in the center, right down here, there's thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up and like the stream. It doesn't cost anything. It's totally free, and it helps me out quite a bit. Doozy, hey, what's up? Doozy Doodle Bear Girl. I thought it was very interesting. I learned a lot. Thanks. I'm glad you did, Doozy. I'm so glad that you did. Thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you chatting and hanging out with me in the stream. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. It's helpful for me. It's helpful for the channel. Again, it doesn't cost anything. Hey, LC, thanks for hanging out. Glad you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And I hope everyone learned how to avoid a really, really big bill when it comes to their new home. And guys, if you need a real estate agent, let me pop up the Work with Joe website so that I can do a shameless plug on my own stream for my own website. Guys, if you have not gone to my website, to Work with Joe Realtor, bingo, there it is. It's up on your screen. Now it's up on your screen. If you need a real estate agent, anywhere in the United States, I have a great network of agents. Oh, hey, Angie. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. Enjoy the replay. Hope to see you next time. If you guys need an agent anywhere in the United States, you can click on any of these buttons, and I have a huge network of real estate agents that can help you out. If you are local to the Southern California area, I've got good news. I can work with you directly. So if you are looking for an amazing buyer's agent or a great listing agent, and you need a trustworthy individual, well, I'm your guy. I'd be happy to talk to you about how I can help you achieve success in your real estate adventure. All right, guys, that's the stream for tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Just right at about an hour. Viewership was great. Had a lot of people hanging out tonight. So thank you so much for giving me some of your very valuable time. We'll be back next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Same time, same place, covering a new topic. If y'all have any suggestions, drop it in the comments. I always love hearing what you guys think we should talk about. I think that's it. Let me look at my notes. That's all I got for you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Weather should be good here in SoCal. And have a good time. As always, be nice to someone. It's crazy out there. Hold the door open for someone. Give someone a compliment. Oh, David Matney, make it in late. Hey, David, You're good. You don't ever need to apologize, buddy. I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate you popping in. I hope everything's going well for you in Omaha. Yeah, watch the replay. We did a whole thing about sewer lines today. Whole thing. We got to watch videos. We got to see inside a sewer line. It was really fun stuff. It was good stuff. So, all right, guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. Again, do something nice for somebody. Give someone a compliment. Hold the door open. It's a crazy world. Just try to be nice to everyone. All right, guys. Have a good one. See you later.